He didn't speak for weeks. Then one day he said his name. That was his story. When Adewale arrived at preschool, he had no English. He'd only just arrived in the UK, and during those first few weeks, everything was new. I was working in his setting doing helicopter stories. For those of you that don't know, in helicopter stories, we scribe children's stories word for word, then gather everyone together to act them out. So I'd asked Adewale every week if he wanted to tell a story, and each week he'd shake his head and run away. But he always joined in with the acting out. And sometimes, while I was scribing another child's story, I'd notice Adewale watching me. But if I caught his eye, he'd look away. And one day, I was sitting in the block area where Adewale was playing. So I asked him, "Adewale, do you want to tell a story?" To my surprise, on that day, Adewale nodded. He even walked over and sat beside me. My heart started racing, like it always does before a child tells their first story. On the outside, I act ultra calm, but inside I'm going, yes, 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 delighted to have finally got a response. So I wrote Adewale's name at the top of the page. Then I waited. Adewale patted his chest. "Adewale," he said. "Do you want me to write that down?" I asked. Adewale nodded. So I did. As I wrote, Adewale watched my pen forming the letters of his name. He smiled, and then he patted his chest again. "Adewale," he said. This time he looked expectantly at my page. "Do you want me to write that down again?" I asked. Adewale nodded. So I wrote his name a second time. Laughing, he patted his chest for a third time. "Adewale." This time I didn't need to ask if he wanted me to write it down. The way he looked at my pen and my paper was enough. Adewale did the same thing a fourth time and a fifth time. "Adewale, Adewale." And then he stood up and said, "And this is Adewale." And that was it. Adewale's first story. Now, when it was time to act out the story, Adewale stood in the centre of the stage, dead centre, not hovering around the edges as some children who are new to helicopter stories might do. And as I read his story, he joined in, saying the words with me and patting his chest. "Adewale, Adewale, 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 Adewale." As we reached the final sentence, he opened his arms. "And this is Adewale." It was incredible. The room fell silent. Children and adults alike were in awe, because suddenly, in the performance of his words, Adewale's story made sense. Of course this was his story. It was his name. It was Adewale announcing himself. It was his arrival into the setting. And it was incredibly powerful. But I have to be honest, as I wrote his name over and over again, I was worried. Maybe he'd got it wrong. Perhaps this wasn't a story. Maybe he didn't really understand what we were doing. But thankfully, I didn't say anything. I just kept going, or I would have missed this moment. Because whenever I'm in this situation, I have a mantra that I repeat over and over again in my head. Trust the child, trust the child, trust the child. So I keep going and see where they lead me. And I'm never disappointed. If you want to hear more stories like this or learn how to bring helicopter stories into your own setting, join our story community. The details are below. And if you've enjoyed hearing this story, give it a like, subscribe, or share it with someone who believes every child has a story worth hearing. I'll see you next time.